The Great Barrier Reef is one of the world's natural wonders, a maze of coral keys and islands stretching 2,000 kilometres along the Queensland coast from Gladstone to the Torres Strait. But the reef is many things to different people. It's a major tourist destination, a fisherman's paradise, a place of work and a national park all rolled into one. The competing demands of conservation and commerce are at work here every day, and all stand ready to protect their patch.
We are one, we are Australia, and we will fight and make sure this message gets to our politicians, and we'll do it in every way we have to.
I really do think it's an infringement on our rights. This is only just a beginning, a very small beginning, because how can you trust these people? Last year they said we want a minimum of 20% closed to fishing, and now, and a maximum of 25. Now, for this first draft, we've got 32.9% of the area of reef they want to close.
8 years ago, Great, the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park Authority, the government agency responsible for management of the park, began a study into its long-term viability. A new initiative, the Representative Areas Program, was put forward. The aim was to protect the biodiversity of the reef. However, it would require an expansion of the zones under protection from 5 to 35% of its total area. The proposed changes will affect many of those who use the reef.
There wouldn't be a community we've been to in the last year and a half that doesn't talk about it's not like it used to be. It's not as good as it has been. The fishing's not as good. And everybody blames everybody else for that. You know, there's a lot of finger pointing, it's everybody else's problem. The commercials will say it's too much recreational, the recreational will say it's too much commercial. There's an element in all of that. You know, we're now told, I think Sunfish quoted some time ago, 900,000 recreational fishers along the coast, and many of these communities are developing quite quickly. And there's something like 300,000 recreational fishers come in each year. That's a lot of people fishing. You can't say it doesn't have an impact.
We're on about the zones this morning from Great, and it's going to have a major effect too. Don't worry about that.
I'm quite insulted when they say we're having a negative impact as rec fishers on the reef.
Yes.
There's not one rec fisher out there that wouldn't say that he wants to look after that reef out there.
On Arthur Dobe's Saturday morning fishing show, discussion of the green zones is the hot topic. The expanded zones will mean that many recreational fishers will no longer be able to fish in their favourite spots.
We fish, we vote.
That's exactly right, and we are in big numbers.
That's it.
What we'll do is take a very quick break, and we'll come back with more of the fishing show right after this.
Anger over the green zone spreads up and down the coast. In the township of Ayr, 100 kilometres south of Townsville, rallies in protest.
Save our seafood, save our community. This is what we want.
Ian Kelly, feed roots, he's telling us we're not happy. If you'd like, we're going. Up drama.
Somebody got fined $25,000 because they were fishing in a green zone. How are these people with $3,000 boats going to be able to afford a GPS that's probably $1,800 or $2,000 worth, sit there the night before and map out where they can go, and when they run across the green line, the bipper goes off. This is not life anymore.
Looks like the government wants to shut the reef down totally to the ordinary people, the fishermen, and we're not going to stand for it. We're going to fight. Even an old pensioner, I still like to fish too.
It's forever ending. And what's Australia doing? Getting rid of our farmers, getting rid of our seafood industry. You know, dairy farmers up north have been suffering. Won't be long. They'll be saying, you get married tomorrow, you're only allowed to have one child.
As a national park, the reef in all its forms must be protected, and that task often falls to scientists, a challenging job, both personally and professionally.
We'll never be rich. We know that. Not rich financially anyway. We've got a population of, we estimate, about 700 to 800 animals up in the eastern banks area of the bay, and we're going to head up there now and hopefully rendezvous with a large herd that we located yesterday from the air, a herd of about 150 animals. And then we'll be catching the animals, and then we'll be tagging it, measuring it, taking biopsy samples. And we'll try and get as many animals as we can over the high tide period today.
We're here working on a really unique animal whose closest relatives are the elephant and this little furry creature in Africa called the rock hyrax. And it's living on the doorstep of one of Australia's biggest cities. It's a slow-moving creature. We'll try and pick an animal that's on the edge of the herd, on the periphery, and try and cut it out, and away from the herd, so that we're not driving and, chasing a dugong through the middle of the herd. We'll cut that out, and then we'll start to chase it. They're very strong animals, and unless we make them run a little bit, unless we tire them out, then they're very, very difficult to catch. So we chase it around for no more than 10 minutes, and then usually on the third or the fourth breath when it comes up, it's got a lung full of air, it's happy, it's started to dive down, the boys jump, and away we go.
The official listing for dugongs in Australia is vulnerable to extinction, which means that if conditions don't improve, then they may head along the road to extinction. The Moreton Bay population, as far as we know, is still a healthy and stable population, and it's probably more accessible for a hands-on study than the reef populations. So what we're hoping is that we can go out here and collect information on the basic population biology of dugongs in Moreton Bay, and that the information that we collect may be useful for management of dugong populations within the Great Barrier Reef region.
Going to do anal girth. Okay. You all right? Yeah. Do anal girth. Oh, no, we'll do the kilometre girth.
220. 220, leg off.
Yes, pretty best.
158. 158.
Turn it off then.
Okay, everything done?
Let it go. Yep.
Let it go.
It's very expensive research. It involves a lot of personnel and boating time and fuel and a lot of equipment. Even the small microchip tags that we put in the dugongs are worth $10 each. So to tag each individual animal may cost several $100s. It adds up. Over a summer we may do a dozen field trips or so, and so we're after a lot of money just to keep this long-term program ticking over year after year.